This is a great honor for me to be here today. Took a long time to get here. We negotiated with the university. We negotiated a lot with the attorneys to get both guys on board. Did a ton of research. Took us years to do all the research because we wanted to be exact, because there's so many different myths out there about what happened at the University of Alabama. And I've heard a lot of myths. I mean, a lot of people, once you hear a little part of a story, and by the time it gets over here, it's something else. But the integration of the football team at Alabama was not what I thought it was, because I was told as a young kid that it was a certain way. I was told that Coach Bryant only recruited African-American football players because of the game at Legion Field against Southern Cal. That wasn't the truth. And I can make that bold statement, and I feel pretty confident because I got somebody right over there that can back me up. Because the night that they played Southern Cal at Legion Field, Coach Bryant had already recruited his first African-American player. But the rules at the university was that you couldn't play as a freshman. And that player was sitting in the stands watching that game. That's him right there, Mr. Wilbur Jackson. And so, like I said, myths get started and people, get to the point where they start saying it was this way and it was this way and it was this way. But I had to do a tremendous amount of research to make sure that the story was told right and to honor these men. And when I say these men, I don't say these two men. I mean, Coach Bryant did a marvelous job. He always wanted to not only integrate the football team at the University of Alabama, he wanted to integrate the football team at Texas A&M. He wanted to do it at Kentucky. But during the times, he was turned down. When he got to Alabama, he was turned down again. But he had a mind that was unusual. He actually got in touch with John McKay in California, and he actually planned that game of them coming down here to play Alabama because he knew they were going to beat Alabama. Southern Cal had black players. They were, it's California. You don't have to integrate. All you got to do is want to play. So they came down here, and Coach Bryant knew they were going to get beat, but he wanted the governor to see them get beat, and why. But at the same time, the game wasn't his first integration of a player. It was this guy. He was already there. And so one thing we wanted everybody to know, too, John Mitchell was not just a great football player. Well, Wilbur Jackson wasn't just a great football player. John Mitchell was one of the best and the most sought after students because of his academics. John Mitchell was one of the smartest students that ever went to Alabama. His GPA is historical. And he was recruited all across the country just as an academic scholarship, for an academic scholarship anywhere he wanted to go in the world. So one time somebody asked Coach Bryant this question. They said, they made a statement and said, Coach Bryant, I want you to make my son out of a man. I want you to make him out of a good man. I'm getting ready to send him to college, and I know you can do it. You can make him a good man. And Coach Bryant said, I can't do in 4 years what you couldn't do in 18. So when you see John Mitchell and Wilbur Jackson, you see two men that not only were great football players, they were great men of integrity, great men of class and integrity. I'm talking about in the climate. You have to remember now, the climate in the state of Alabama was pretty rough, And a lot of the players thought Wilbur stayed in all the time. He didn't want to go out and stuff like that. But shoot, if in that climate, you think as a dark-skinned black man, I want to go out with y'all at night in Tuscaloosa. I want to watch TV too. Stay safe. But at the same time, these were two men that their parents did a great job on them. Their parents did a great job raising them. And for 50 years, they carried themselves with the utmost integrity and class. No trouble out of nobody. They've excelled. The reason why John Mitchell is not here tonight, because he's been a coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers for 28 years. He's been trying to retire for the past 4 years, and they won't let him. He was the first African-American coach with Coach Bryant after he got through playing. And at the same time, I'm glad for Ozark to let us borrow this man right here because he is Mr. Ozark. If there was a possibility of him being the president of Ozark, he would be. They love him. But with no further ado, I'd like to tell you one story before we unveil the painting, something funny. Wilbur and I did the concept of the painting in the president's box at the University of Alabama. President allowed us to use his skybox at Bryant Stadium. And so we wanted to show Wilbur and John in the skybox, looking out over the field and pointing into the sky where we painted some memories of their days at Alabama in the sky. We wanted to put some special things up there. So John couldn't make it back for the photo shoot. He was in Pittsburgh. So I posed for John in the Photoshop. So then I called the photographer in Pittsburgh and sent him the shot of Wilbur and I standing there in the shot. And I said, I want you to get John to pose just like me, and then you take the shot and send it back to us. So Wilbur and I had Alabama shirts on. We had our shirt tails in, like, you know, and we posed in the shot and everything. And so they took the photograph, and that man right there, Jerome Smedley, took the shot, great shot, sent it to Pittsburgh, and we sent an Alabama shirt to Pittsburgh for John to wear. And John took the photograph, photographer of Pittsburgh Steelers took the photograph, but John had his shirt tail out. And I said, God, we can't use that. What are we gonna do? Then I had the magical idea. We took the picture, shipped it to the graphic designer in Florida. And the graphic designer used my picture, and me and John are a little bit the same size in here, so he put John's top in my pants. And these are the pants that I was wearing. So I wanted to make sure I wore these pants so y'all can see them. But it was a great idea, and it worked out fine. But at the same time, when I got ready to do the painting, I realized all these little pinstripes was in my pants. And I thought, you know, a solid color would be easy to paint, but all these little pinstripes when they started folding. I said, why did I do that? But I thank God that we had the unveiling in Tuscaloosa not too long ago, and John was able to come. And John is an art collector, and he and his wife, Joyce, and they really, really love the painting. But I hadn't been satisfied because when we pulled the cover off this painting, it's the first time Wilbur's gonna see it. So right now I'd like to ask Wilbur to come up with me and unveil the painting. And y'all pay attention to those gray pants. Just drop down. As you can see here, you see Governor Wallace and Coach Bryant. They're at the same place, but they're not looking at each other because they had different views on integration at the time. But at the same time, Governor Wallace changed his mind. And one thing we mentioned in the book, you don't discount when somebody does the right thing. You don't discount that. And before he passed away, he actually changed his mind about everything that he stood against. And one thing, when God changes your heart, you don't put that on sale. So I really wanted that in there. And at the same time, this man, John Mitchell, asked me, who is that guy? I said, he represents all of the football players that wanted to play at the university, but couldn't. And where you came in, you probably were a 4 or 5 star player. This guy probably was a 6-star player, but the doors were closed. So when you came in and Wilbur came in, he probably listened at the radio and played through y'all. And so John, that really touched his heart. And so these people right here represent all the kids that could go in the door after you open it. And so you see Ozzie Newsome here, made up his mind that he was going to Auburn University, told everybody he was going to Auburn University, until John Mitchell came up to Layton to recruit him to the University of Alabama. And in this picture right here, he's not a player, he's the general manager of the Baltimore Ravens. So there was a lot done and a lot accomplished through what these young men did and what Coach Bryant did.